All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. We have a jam-packed December. It's a short month because holidays are coming up, but that doesn't mean that we're taking a break yet. We have a ton of live events coming your way between now and roughly December 13th-ish, I think, will be our final event of the 2024 year. This week, we are celebrating Call to Earth Week with CNN. So they have a big day on the 4th where they will be showcasing all kinds of stories from around the world, looking at our planet, people, places, wildlife, and things like that on the channel. But we're teaming up with them this week to showcase some stories for classrooms. So we're connecting with some really cool scientists, explorers, conservationists from all over the world to give them a chance to share some stories with classrooms. So this morning we started off in Zambia with Maggie, who told us all about the amazing shoe bills and the super cool program she is doing using puppets to feed the young chicks and raise them so they don't imprint on humans. And now we're going to go to another part of the world. We're going to head to South America, to Peru, and hear a story with our good friend, Andrés Ruzo. He's a geoscientist, conservationist, author, science communicator, and educator. He was the first scientist given permission to study the boiling river of the Amazon in 2011. He's a tri-citizen growing up between Peru, Nicaragua, and the United States, all countries where he now has projects on the go. So his primary geoscientific focus is volcanology and geothermal studies. So he wants to understand these systems. He wants to learn how to conserve them and then also explore them for energy. So I'm going to bring Andres in with us right now. Hey, Andres, how are you?
Hey, how is everybody doing today?
Yeah, good. It's so good to have you with us. We were together not too long ago in Texas, but it's weeks ago, but it seems like even longer. The time just flies.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's great to be here. Super excited to be with all the classrooms, and this sounds like a great program with CNN. Cool stuff.
All right, excellent. Well, we've got classes saying hi in the chat already, which is great. We've got a camera classroom hanging out backstage with us as well, but I've got people saying hi from Miami and Hamilton, Ontario,
No way.
Michigan, and places like that. You were in Miami for a while too. I think you were living in Florida for a bit before you came back to Texas.
Yeah, I lived in Miami for a while, so what's up? My fans still have family in Coconut Grove and Kendall, so hey, Miami. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys about some amazing work that we're doing in the Amazon, in the Peruvian Amazon specifically. Truly one of the coolest places on planet Earth. Well, I guess hot, but anyway, we'll get into that in a second. So you tell me what to do, man. You're the boss.
All right. Well, we're going to let you take over for a little bit. You're in charge. So if you want to get your screen share ready, I will bring it up when I see it, and then we'll have some Q&A afterwards.
All right, perfect. I got the presentation up and running. Oops, do I?
Oh, it
Yes, I
was.
do.
Yeah.
It was. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Well, I got the presentation up and running. So let's do this whenever you guys want.
Andres, I'm just going to get you to do one quick thing for me. Down at
Of
the
course.
bottom, there's a little bar that says stop sharing. If you hit hide, it'll take. Oh, no. Uh,
Wrong button.
yeah.
So we'll try
Let's
that
do
one more
screen
time.
share again. And then if you hit hide, it takes that little bar away, and then the pictures look a little clearer.
There we go. Sorry about that,
No,
guys.
no,
My
no
bad.
worries.
Yeah. All right. Well, now, hopefully, ready to go, right? Everything look good. No one's blowing up.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, hey everyone. I'm Andrés Russo, and I work at the boiling river of the Amazon. This is one of the most spectacular places on Earth, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys today. So, to give you a sense of who I am and what I do, I'm a geothermal scientist. So, when you think of Earth's heat, you probably think about the volcanoes, right? And I mean, why not? They're incredible. Well, there's a part of volcanoes that I'm extra fascinated with, the hot springs, the hot water around them. It's the lifeblood almost of the heat systems there that you see a lot. And you can use them for everything from cooking to hot tubbing to to even drinking tea sometimes. So they're and you can even make energy out of it, believe it or not. But I'm absolutely fascinated with Earth's heat, especially that interface from the cultural side to the energy side. But so geothermal, when I mention geothermal, remember geo means earth and thermal means heat. So everything that I'm talking about is Earth's heat and not just hot rocks, either in solid form or liquid form, like you see here with the lava, but also that water, the gases, All of the above. You got to think of these as complex systems with lots going on, with the waters, with the gases, and with the rocks, right? So again, geothermal energy is a way that we can use Earth's heat to create electrical energy, the stuff that turns the lights on, right? That's a green energy resource, a sustainable resource. And that's one of the things that I have looked at more in the past, to be honest with you, because now I'm actually on another side. But geothermal conservation is what I do a lot of, right? I'm an exploration geoscientist. So my job is to go out in the field, map things out, monitor temperatures, grab water samples. So I really enjoy being out in the field and understanding these systems. There's some systems that we can definitely harness responsibly. There's other systems where there's other things that we can borrow from them. For example, what you see there is one of the pools in Yellowstone National Park in the United States. And that little thing that kind of either looks like a finger or a really moldy hot dog is actually a microbe. It's a little bacteria called Thermus aquaticus. And you might not know it, but geothermal systems in many cases have saved millions and millions of lives, have given us tons of modern technology. For example, PCR, if you guys remember having to take a PCR test, that PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction. And it's a biotechnology that we ultimately got from studying that little microbe that kind of looks like the moldy sausage, right? Which we only got because we preserved and conserved Yellowstone. So that is one example of a number of biotechnologies that we can get from studying some of Earth's potentially most ancient ecosystems, geothermal systems. What does it look like? Because remember, right now, Earth used to be a very different place, right? So again, what am I studying with geothermal science? I am studying the heat, the rock, the water, the life, the entire environment around it, from the energy, from the potential, to also the stories and culture. Because as with my job, which I adore as an explorer, right? I get the chance to travel all over the world. Sometimes I get to work on archaeological sites even. And what's cool is every single culture that I have ever seen, that past or present, that's interacted with hot springs and volcanoes, has identified them as significant. And I think that that's something super cool. And I mean, why not? Literally, I bet you half of you are going to go home tonight, maybe take a hot shower or take a hot bath. In a sense, you're creating your own artificial man-made geothermal system right in your house. So that's how important it is to us. So that conservation aspect, that protecting and the responsible use of these incredible systems that we have all over the globe is really important. So I do a lot of conservation work from the geothermal side, but then also working in the Amazon, working in tropical regions, and in this case with one of my mentors here, who's an indigenous leader there. He's a Shanika. So I am the founder and head of a research group called the Boiling River Project. We've got a nonprofit pushing for the protection and the understanding of geothermal systems like the Boiling River, which you will hear more about shortly, and these geothermal systems all over the world. A big part of my work is also the communicating of it, because sadly, the science alone is not enough. If you want to make a change, you've got to take that science and you've got to spread that message. And you need to get, well, good politics that are based on science so that we can have good laws, good regulations based on real science, on empirical evidence, so that we can have something that actually fits with our natural world. I do some of that work with TED. I do a lot of science communication work with recently the Explorers Club, which I got an award from them recently. National Geographic, done a lot of work with Nat Geo. I was even hosting a show for them for a while on the Spanish channel. Even got to work with Lego on science communication for Lego City Jungle and Lego City Volcano sets, which was, oh man, it was so fun. But a lot of the work that I do is in education, because it's not enough even to just do the science or just do the conservation or just do the science communication. In my opinion, the people I'm getting to talk to right now, I mean, you guys are the future. And you guys are the future, and you're also the present. You know what's important to you as far as what makes life, right? So my dream is to see all of you in the Amazon. My dream is to see all of you guys engaged in active projects in your local area, to be pushing important social issues, pushing important environmental issues, so that you can understand that nothing is holding you back. If there's something that you're passionate about, a project that you want to start working on, you can actually start now. There's really nothing holding you back. So in my case, I've been really lucky to get to take students into the Amazon, in the field. This was in the southern Amazon, places like Yellowstone, other parts of the world there. And ultimately, everything I'm trying to do is connect people to our natural world. That's ultimately what I'm trying to do with all of my work. And right now, let's focus on the Amazon, because I did say we're going to talk about it, right? Now, the Amazon basin is amazing. Roughly where you see that green blob there, all of the water is funneled towards the Amazon River there. This is the largest rainforest that we have on the planet, and it is the second oldest one. That area is about 90% the size of the lower 48 states for the United States. So it's a big area. And in that Amazon, there is a place that is just absolutely mind-blowing. And what's crazier still, I first heard about it in a childhood legend. So when I was a kid growing up in Lima, Peru, my grandfather tells me this crazy story of the Spanish conquest of Peru. You've got the Spaniards that set up an ambush, capture Atahualpa, the emperor of the Inca, and they hold him hostage. Now, unfortunately for Atahualpa, the Spaniards, even though the Inca pay that ransom, which is still record breaking, and that it was the largest ransom ever paid for a single individual, it would be over $2 billion in today's terms, an estimate anyway. They still kill him. They kill Atahualpa, and so start the next 40 years of fighting between the Inca and the Spanish empires. And unfortunately for the Inca, well, they lose. The gold, which was considered as the tears or the sweat of the sun, is melted down and sent off to Spain to be used as money. New waves of wannabe conquistadors, wannabe corteses, wannabe pizarros keep coming in all hungry for gold and glory. And according to the legends, they asked the conquered Inca, where's another civilization we could conquer? We want more gold. Now, out of vengeance, so say the legends, the Inca told them, you want more gold? Go to the Amazon. You will find all the gold you want there. In fact, there's an entire city called Paititi, El Dorado in Spanish, and it's made entirely of gold. Now, the Spaniards are excited. These wannabe conquistadors, they want the gold, they want the glory, they're ready to go. But the very few that return from these excursions into the jungle come back with horrifying stories. They talk about Inca who had fled the conquest, whose preferred method of dispatching these guys was making them drink molten gold, burning. They also talked about meeting cannibals, people who quite literally would have them for dinner. They talked about powerful shamans with spells that drove men mad and poison arrows that could kill you in a nick. They talked about giant snakes that could swallow a man whole. They talked about giant spiders as big as your hands that ate birds, trees so tall they blotted out the sun, and even of a river that boiled. Now, time passes. I logged this away as a kid, and I'm like, wow, cool story, It stays there as a legend until I'm working on my PhD. I'm trying to understand Peru's geothermal energy potential, working on my research, and trying to figure out, if you look at this map here, you see the Ring of Fire, part of it anyway. Those red triangles are active volcanoes. So if you follow that around, those red triangles do a loop all around most of the Pacific Ocean. That is the Ring of Fire, where subduction, oceanic plate going underneath a continental plate, right, is creating volcanoes. But for some reason, if you look at Peru, which is right there, there's no active volcanoes there, even though there should be, quote unquote, right? But they turned off between 1.6 to 2 million years ago. So I'm at a family dinner, and I'm talking to my aunt and uncle, and I'm asking, I was looking around. I spent about 2 years asking this question of oil and gas guys, mining guys, government institutions, of could the boiling river exist? And everyone basically said, well, no, no, it doesn't. And I'm at a family dinner, and I'm telling my aunt and uncle this question, and they tell me, wait, no, Andrés, it's real. We've been there. So my aunt, who you see there in the red, she had done indigenous rights work and had made friends with the wife of this very powerful shaman that guarded over a sacred site in the middle of the Amazon. Now, it took a couple months, but my aunt, finally led me there. It was an hour flight, followed by about 3 hours, 2-3 hours on 4x4 truck, or like you see there. Then another hour on what we call in Peru, peque peque. Peque peque is the motorized canoe because you turn on that motor and peque 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 peque, right? So that's the peque peque. We're about 45 minutes to an hour on the peque peque, and then hiking into the jungle for another hour. I remember checking my GPS thinking, oh my gosh, we are over 700 kilometers, over 430 miles away from the nearest active volcanic center. How are we going to find a big boiling river here? Nothing's been documented here. There's nothing in the region. But we come face to face with this. That's only a small section of the river, that one photograph there. And the water temperatures when we took that photo were about 187 degrees Fahrenheit or 86 degrees Celsius. Now, that's a big number. At about 117 Fahrenheit, 117, or about 47 degrees Celsius, is where you and I start to cook. That's a problem, right? You don't want to fall in. Look at how hot those temperatures are. Think how much energy it takes to heat up 1 cup of coffee. That is significantly more hotter than any of your regular cup of coffees, and you don't want to fall in, basically. Again, we were over 430 miles, over 700 kilometers away from the nearest active volcanic center. That tree is about this big around. If you can see me where I'm at, so that tree is pretty big, and it's massive. Taking a drone up, right, and mapping it all out, that's what you're seeing here. So that steam plume along the river, that entire valley there is all the temperatures of the boiling river. It's about 6.24 kilometers or 4 miles roughly of thermal flow, much of that hot enough to kill you, which is just insane, truly, because it's also huge. At the widest point, it's about 30 meters wide, 100 feet wide, roughly. I'm the blue dot over here. This is about a 7-meter drop. Yes, 7 meters, so about 21 feet, roughly, foot drop right there. And all of the water coming over the top here is scalding. So if you fall in, if you get burned, you will not make it out of that one. There's just no way. So you got to be super careful. It is also pretty deep. At the deepest point that I was able to measure, we got up to about 4.5 meters deep. That's almost 15 feet deep. Imagine basically a pool, truly like a swimming pool near boiling water. That would cook you instantaneously. The hottest temperature I measured was a spring at 99.1 degrees C, or about 210 degrees Fahrenheit. And again, wow, it's incredible, especially being so far away from an active volcanic center. If you fall in, you absolutely are dead. Your eyes cook very quickly, is what I've seen in a number of animals. They turn that milky white color, as you see here on this nice little frog. You fall in and, well, you're trying to swim out, but at those temperatures, your muscles, which give you strength, right, they're cooking on the bone. So you lose power until, well, you can't swim out anymore. So you got to be very careful. But there's also major perks, like tea. You actually can go to the boiling river, grab some water carefully, and drink water, especially in the hottest parts, straight out of the river. Right where the waters are coming out, it's been filtered by the rock, and on top of that, it's so hot that it's killed basically anything that'll make you and me sick. Its indigenous name, its ancient name is Shanai Timpishka. Shanai means heat of the sun. Timpu is the verb to boil. And it's such a beautiful name, indicating that it's, well, a hypothesis ultimately. I'm not the first person to wonder why this place boiled. Now, in 2011, I became the first geoscientist granted the shamanic blessing to study this incredible place. And this is Maestro Juan Flores, who's turned into a dear friend, a mentor, definitely a guide, someone who I've worked with to map out this river, to understand not only the geoscientific aspects of it, but also the cultural significances, the places of significance ultimately. And it's been absolutely amazing. This is a place of legends and of spirits. This is a place that holds tremendous spiritual power in all of the cultural stories. Think of it like this. The Milky Way is often called the Great Celestial River of Light. Now, the boiling river's vapor, it's steam plume coming up, connects these clean waters on Earth, these medicinal waters, because they're so clean, right? There's no very little life in there, even very little microbes in there. But the steam's connecting the boiling river on Earth to the great celestial river in the sky. One of my favorite legends is at the start of the boiling river, because the boiling river starts off as a small, cold stream. And then about here, underneath this big rock, is where it starts to heat up. Now, underneath the protective motherly jaws, according to the legends, of the Yakumama. The Yakumama is a giant serpent spirit who supposedly gives birth to hot and cold water. Now, there are some incredible, well, this is an incredible ecosystem. Huge trees. There's a guy for scale there. That tree won't fit either way I put it in this picture. It is just unbelievable. You look up into the sky, you'll see incredible birds, incredible wildlife. I'm a big fan of insects, right? So this papazo is what we call it, a type of rhino beetle. Basically flew in and sounded like a motorcycle. It was just so cool. That's my hand for scale. So it's a big bug. Man, but you also have other things. So that's my finger for scale. So you can see how tiny that poison dart frog is. But if I were to put that in my mouth, that would be the last dumb thing I ever did, right? And here you have a baby caiman enjoying some of the warm parts of the boiling river, not hot enough to boil him, right? But warm little hot spring there he's got going on. And it's great, right? It's enjoying a little hot bath, trying to camouflage in with those leaves, doing a pretty good job. Almost as good of a job camouflaging as this young lady that you see here. That's a leaf toad. You see her there. She's got this beautiful mottled pattern in the browns, blacks, and light yellows of her body. Makes her look like a rotten leaf, even with some holes in it. She's even got the vertical line going down her spine. If you haven't spotted her yet, she's right there. Do you guys see that? There she is. Do you see her? Now, this is probably one of my favorite animals in the jungle. This is a tapir. Sachavaca is what we call it in Peru. I just think they're adorable. They're actually related to the rhino. So where rhinos have horns, these guys have like little trunks. It's a lot of fun. But as incredible as this ecosystem, as the jungle is, we are sadly, facing some difficult times in the entire Amazon basin. The fires, especially this year, have been dreadful. This is an older picture, but one from a colleague, Charlie Hamilton James, just really captured it well. In Peru, unfortunately, we're losing about half a soccer field every single minute to deforestation, and it is a massive problem. Across the Amazon basin, we've been losing about 2 soccer fields every single minute, and that's just not sustainable because it's been that way for most of my life. And part of my research, looking at geochemistry and the water cycle, honestly deals with when will we see a tipping point, and that is a major concern. So if you look at the boiling river area, I'm going to play a little video here, basically from a couple of years before I was born to present. I mean, you can see how deforestation just has taken over, right? It's all of this right here is deforestation. The green bit is the boiling river area, and you can see how that has advanced so much. And again, that's a big problem because you see this wonderful, wonderful world of just awe and amazement. And then you see this. And sadly, I took that picture off my phone just 2 months ago. The fires have gotten really, really bad. And it is a huge concern. And, it's funny because I work with a lot of scientists all over the world. And I think you guys have met a lot of really great people, right? And it's something I see over and over again. Anyone who's in science at this point, I feel, has to come to terms with this question. Am I here just to document this destruction, or am I here to make a difference and to try to stop this in any way that I can? Because, we've got these disconnects. People often don't realize what we're doing does have an impact. Our home is very much under threat and on many levels, not just talking about the Amazon here, right? Because my university is in Dallas, Texas. And when I fly into Dallas, Texas, I'll often see, wild spaces and development. And what do you know? It actually looks very similar to stuff that I see in the Amazon. Wild spaces, a road, and then development. It's quite common to see that. Here's a local creek, in close to my university as well. Sometimes the caption writes itself. It says health insurance there. Humans need clean water to survive. We need clean air to survive. We need clean soils so that we can have nutritious foods to survive. It only helps us. And environmental issues ultimately turn into human issues. And that's where it's a problem. So the boiling rivers taught me a lot. Working there has been unbelievable. I mean, the problems are far from over. We're still actively fighting. In fact, right after this, I've got some calls that I got to make to, well, to keep fighting for it. And if I've learned anything from Maestro Juan and from basically the importance of the spiritual significance of the boiling river, it's that concept of redefining sacred. See, the word sacred can also mean to give life. What gives life? What do you need to live? And again, we talked about the clean water, the nutritious food, maybe good connections between people, the mental health. What do you need to live? So framing it like that has really opened my eyes to a lot of things that I do in my everyday, because I won't be able to live like this. Why? Because I've got the water sample here. If you can see me, about 80% of the waters that fall to earth as rain in our area in central Peru come from the jungle itself. That's important. The water from the rain is in large part created by the jungle itself, a process called evapotranspiration. But I'm talking about global problems. And now I'm mentioning local solutions, because guess what? Just with what I've heard about the people on this call all over the globe, yeah, we've got problems everywhere. We've got problems in the Amazon. We've got problems in Ontario. We've got problems in Florida. All over the world, you're going to find problems. But at the same time, that also means that there's a solution everywhere. And that's where you guys come in. All of us have to look at all these global problems and not just immediately get overwhelmed, but break it down. Global, what's it mean? Global is basically a bunch of countries, which means a bunch of states that make up those countries, which means a bunch of cities that make up the states that make up the countries, which ultimately you can take to your school or even further down the line to a local level. I deeply believe that if you act locally, wherever you are in the world, really do the best you can, where you are, and connect to other friends all over the globe, you will be better off for it. Joe was just in Australia, right? And when I know there's good people doing good work in Australia or India or other parts of the globe, you guys were with someone who was working with shoe bills in Africa, right? There's a lot of us who are acting locally. And we hear a lot of bad news on social media, on the news. There's a lot of bad news out there. But when we start focusing on the individuals who are acting locally and doing really good stuff and connect with them, connect those global things, we can inspire each other. And that does a lot. One of my very favorite quotes these days is from Greta Thunberg. You do not deserve hope unless there is action. So we can't just sit back and just wait for hope to come. We need to fight for it. We need to do this. Be your own hope. Get out there, organize cleanups, do what you can, when you can, where you can. In fact, with my organization, we've even brought students down to the Boiling River, down to other parts of the Amazon. In fact, with the Explorers Club, we just announced a new grant for teachers to help get teachers out into the field doing real field science. So you can check that out too. But the Boiling River is truly spectacular. The world's largest documented geothermal river, right? Flowing river, one of the largest geothermal surface features on the planet. Absolutely incredible. And well, has to be protected. We have to act local. We have to connect global so that together we can come together and, well, fight for a better world. So gracias. Thank you guys for your time. And if you need me, honestly, Instagram's the best way to get a hold of me. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Awesome, Andres. It's always awesome to see your pictures, get into your world, and your passion for what you do really comes through. And I think that's really important for students. They find something they're passionate about that makes them happy, excited, makes them feel hopeful. Then that's pretty important for them to hold on to and work with in their daily life. So very cool. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're going to get to some Q&A action. So if you're tuning in via YouTube, you can use the chat sidebar and send us in some questions. Also, while Andres was presenting for us, I pulled together a really quick Kahoot quiz. So I'm going to open that behind the scenes, and we'll take some questions while it's loading as well. We'll play the Kahoot together, and then we will take a few more questions. So I'm going to share my screen here. It's going to come up for you in just a moment. There it comes. All right. You need to go to kahoot.it, and then you need to put in this PIN number 506-888-506-888. And if you have one-to-one tech, or shout your answers out to him or her. If you just can't get in with tech, no big deal. You can still play along in your classroom and see how you do. So kahoot.it, and the PIN number is 506-888. So I see a few groups starting to join. Let's start with a little bit of question action while classrooms are joining. So I'm going to grab some questions from YouTube to get us started. So Andrés, the first question I have for you is about, what it's like to be in the rainforest and in the field. Is it hard? Is it easy now that you've done it a lot of times? What's it like?
Oh man. I will kind of cheat on that question. I in Nicaragua, especially, I grew up in the jungle. So that's a lot of my core memories as a kid are very much from the jungle. So I love the heat. I love the humidity. Then from growing up in Miami too. Well, I know all my Miami people are all about the heat and humidity. But I think if I could give you one answer from working in the jungle, it's what happens after. What I love about working in like real jungle is that there is life everywhere. Everything's moving, slithering, buzzing, crawling. Something's calling, something's moving. Life is everywhere. And when you leave the jungle, you miss that. You miss the fact that you can't, there's not an ant crawling or a bug buzzing or a bird. I mean, it's everywhere there's life. And I think I haven't seen that many ecosystems on Earth that are like that. And so I see the jungle as just like the greatest celebration of life on our planet. And it's impossible for me not to love that.
All right. I'm going to grab a quick question. We have a classroom backstage from St. Marguerite. I think they're getting ready for the Kahoot, but let's see if they have a quick question for us before we start the Kahoot.
We do.
Awesome.
We do, Andres. We're so honored to be here, and thank you, Joe. One of our questions, we have 7 of them, but we'll choose a good one.
We'll come back for more, I promise.
Kara, come on. What's that?
We'll come back for more, I promise.
Okay, great. Hold on. Kara, can you read one of our questions, please? Or Jack? Go ahead, quick.
Do you require special equipment or clothing to work around the boiling river?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Do I require special clothing or equipment? I'm going to give you my top 3. So maybe 4. Top 4. Number 1, the most important thing for me in the jungle, a stick. Very high tech. I find a stick, maybe on the ground, and it's a good walking stick, and I keep that as my number 1 thing. Because with that stick, I poke around. So before I take a step, I've poked in the jungle to make sure that I'm letting any poisonous snakes or venomous snakes, know that I might be coming their way. Or if I'm working close to the geothermal system, the most dangerous thing that you'll find are what we call skylights, right? They're hardened crusts of mud, where if you're walking, you could fall through. And I've seen people step on something thinking it was a rock, but it's a hardened crust of mud. Their foot goes through, boiling water, boiling muds pour into their boot, quite literally sous vide them in the most horrible way imaginable. And so having that stick to poke around is just essential. The second one, I have a thermal camera, this is a high resolution, really powerful thermal camera that I can literally watch the hot blood running through my veins. That's how powerful of a thermal camera that is. So I'll use that to scout around. It kind of looks like a gun like this, but you scout around, you make sure you see all the points where not to step, where heat's coming out. Then, actually we'll just keep it at 3. Sandals. I do most of my work in flip-flops, believe it or not. And when I was working with the shaman originally, right, when he's gotten much older now, but he used to come with me out in the field, and he would tell me, you need to feel the energy of the jungle. You're going to be working in someplace difficult. You're going to be working something dangerous. Use your feet like eyes. Feel the energy of the jungle. Know where to step. Feel where to step and not to step, and you will not get burned. And in my 17 field seasons of working out there, I have never been seriously burned. And I do think that there's a lot of great traditional knowledge there that we really have to listen to.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's play a little Kahoot and then we'll take some more questions. So I'm going
All right, let's
to
do
hit start here. These are true and false multiple choice. All questions, if you are paying attention, you are ready to go. Here we go. So first question coming your way is a multiple choice. The boiling river is was it in Ecuador, Peru, Texas, or Nicaragua? This should be a nice, easy one to get us started. We'll see how we do. Although most of the places I've listed there are places we may have touched on briefly in the event as well.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Well done, everybody.
Everybody went with Peru. That's a good start. That puts the social swan in first place, and we're going with true and false now. Geo means earth. Is that true or is that false? Geo means earth. You got 20 seconds to get an answer in, but this group's pretty fast. I think we'll be done before then. Yep, I was right. Good job, crew. That is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
The hero swan steals the lead, and we go to another true and false. The Amazon rainforest is the third largest on the planet. So the Amazon rainforest is the third largest rainforest on the planet. True or false? About 10 more seconds to get that answer in. Ooh, a little bit of a mixed bag there, but those who went with false are absolutely right. It is the largest rainforest on the planet and the second oldest. Good job, crew. Magic Eagle taking that first spot. We have another multiple choice coming your way. The indigenous name for Boiling River means boiled by the power of the earth, river of bubbles, boiled with the heat of the sun, or river of heat and smoke. All of those are potentially believable, but one of them, I believe, is nice and fast. Good job, crew.
Wow,
We didn't get
well
halfway
done.
through the time. So boiled with the heat of the sun.
And I've got a cool legend behind that name too. I wasn't able to share it before, but Q&A. Remember that.
Okay, so hopefully someone asks about it. Otherwise, I will, because we want to hear that legend. Okay, last question. Magic Eagle still in the lead. How many soccer field size sections of Amazon are lost each minute? Was it 1, 2, 3, or 4 soccer field size sections of the Amazon that we lose each minute? 1, 2, 3, or 4 soccer fields each minute. Oh, good job, crew. Oh, these guys are on fire today, Andrés.
Yeah, I'm really impressed.
All right, so let's go to our podium. In third place, we've got the Witty Buffalo. In second place, the Classy Dolphin. Do we have a new leader holding down that top spot? The Magic Eagle held on for the last questions. Very cool. All right, well, let's get back into some Q&A action. Thanks to our classrooms for playing a little Kahoot with us. We've got a question here from a class in Hamilton. Dalewood students would like to know, what education did you need for your job?
When there's a game that I would play as a kid called The Floor is Lava. Very, very, very important game. It's probably saved my life more times than I can count. So if you're going to get into geothermal science, Floor is Lava, essential. But as far as professional educations go, I have a background in geology, which is where, that's most of my work. I'm almost done with my PhD, cannot wait to finish. And that's also, right, geothermal studies, that's geoscience, looking at geochemistry, the chemical makeup of rocks and water, but also heat flow, geophysics is in there. But yeah, so I studied geology, but there's a lot more that I do. So really in my work, I'm more of a project manager now. So I'm not just a researcher. So I end up filling the role, honestly, more of a naturalist and project manager, where I'm taking the geology and bringing it into everything else. For example, if you were to, here's a 3D print of a fossil. This fossil is the snout of what was a caiman, so think of a big crocodile, about the size of a school bus. So this is a micro version, itty bitty version. My head would be about like this big in the real version. Where did this thing live? How did this fossil get preserved? What was it eating? What clues are in the environment that tell us about its life? It's same thing for microbes. It's same things for, think of archaeological sites. What is an archaeological site? Not in the, people were here before. What did they leave behind? Did they leave behind stone tools? Did they leave behind, stone foundations? What soils did they work with? Where's your food come from? Where's your water come from? This water, aquifers, soils. Where do you grow your food, right? So geology touches everything, and that's what I love about it. So it's one of the cool things about what I do. I end up, finding everything. So honestly, find what you're really, what fires you up, and I would go down that path.
All right, very cool. Let's go back to our crew who said they had lots of questions for us. So let's see if we can grab a few more of those questions from them.
Definitely. We've got another great question for you.
All right.
Come on up, Lila. Nice and loud. And Cooper, come on up. Come on up. Nice and loud. Go ahead.
Can you explain the difference between the Red River and the Boiling River Trail?
Could you hear that? No. Can you explain the difference between the Red River and the Boiling River of Peru? We were doing some research.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So let's start talking about colors. What makes, in fact, one of my friends did this crazy research project looking at all of the colors of all of the lakes of all of the world and what color tells you about water types. So if you get a nice, beautiful, chocolatey, almost hot chocolate colored water in the Amazon, right? There's probably a lot of sediment and a kind of special sediment, which is, in this case, silt or a mud, something muddy. In some places that I work, we've got one place called Yanayaku. Yana means black. Yaku means water, black water. And guess what? It's a swamp. It's still water with lots of rich organic matter. So you've actually got a couple of ways to get a red river. You can either get bacterial, algal, microbial blooms to, give water strange colors. So it can be organic, right? Life form related, or it can be inorganic, which is what crunched up minerals are getting into that water and, giving it the color. In the case of the Boiling River, most of its water is actually beautifully clear. It's clear and has this nice kind of turquoise-ish hue sometimes, but because the water at the bottom of the Boiling River, the rock is basically rock. There's very little sediment in most of the Boiling River, so you're seeing basically clear water. The point I'm trying to get at is, what are the mechanisms? What are the ways geologically that we can change water color, right? But the difference there is the Boiling River ultimately has no color for most of it because it's clear water hitting, the water is flowing on rock. It's not flowing on a lot of sediment. And also it's so hot, it's killing almost all of the microbes that are in it. So you're not going to get the ways to get colored waters, right? Are either inorganic, right? Think soils, think rocks, things like that, or organic. So the microbes, bacteria, the algae, the rotting leaves. The Boiling River is very clean of all that. And in fact, you're getting to a really super important question. I did this really amazing show with the BBC, right? Earth's Great Rivers. It was one of their big, series. The Boiling River was actually on the cover of it, so we were super excited. But one of the questions that they kept asking was, wait, Andrés, but isn't this like a healing place, ancestrally a healing place, a place of, there must be some special minerals or something in the water. But the truth is, the Boiling River's waters are unbelievably clean. There's almost nothing in this stuff. It's really wild because it's been filtered. So that's why, are you seeing, this way, you're not seeing any red. You're not seeing any green or blue. You're seeing beautifully clean water, right?
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks. That's great.
You have one more for us there, and then we'll grab a couple from you too.
Sure. Let's see. Let's go for a good one, guys. What about the number 5? Okay.
The last one?
Okay, come on up, Jack. Number 5.
We saw something about a spot near the end or beginning of the river where it is like a hot tub, and tourists can sit there. Is there a main tourist site?
There are, and that is one of the things that we're working hard to promote. So unfortunately, because of all of this massive deforestation, unfortunately, there's some mafias that come in that look for easy money. And good ways of stopping that is by raising the economic value of places like the forest. So ecotourism, where you're doing responsible tourism, is a really important way of getting money, the right kind of money, into the pockets of good people trying to respect these ecosystems. There are two general sections of the Boiling River where you could comfortably swim in its waters, and where you can't, where you don't have to, boil alive, which would not be fun. And yes, it is quite nice. You've got to be below 47 degrees C, 117 degrees Fahrenheit. But most people, won't even like to get close to that. There are places where you can still get, but yeah, there's a couple of sites on the Boiling River you can definitely go for a dip in, but not the hot parts.
Yeah. All right. Well, give yourselves a big hand to our St. Marguerite crew. Those are some
Thank
great
you.
research questions. So good
So
job.
honored. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Very
thank
cool.
you guys.
Great
Come to the
question.
Boiling River. Just don't jump in.
All right. So, Andrés, I've got another question here. This is from the group in Miami. When's your next trip to Peru? When are you going to be there next?
We're looking at actually maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in 3 weeks. I go back and forth pretty regularly. And right now, like I said, I'm in the last year of my PhD at SMU in Dallas, Texas. So, so close. And yeah, so right now it's the wet season, which can be quite tricky to get some of the work that I do there. But, we've got really important work going on, and, I always travel through Miami.
All right. Well, we can't let you go without hearing the story behind the legend.
Yes.
Behind the name. So we want to
The
hear that
name.
before we say goodbye for today.
So it's a little gruesome. But great note to end up on. But so the name is Shanai Timpishka. Shanai, again, heat of the sun. Timpu is a verb, to boil. And there's this old Ashaninka legend, which talks about the sun god. And the sun god comes to the jungle, and he's walking around the jungle having a good time. But then his enemies, the demons of the night, lay an ambush for him. And as he's walking, unbeknownst to him, they're waiting for him. And they spring out and stab him in the heart, and a spurt of blood falls to earth to create a large thermal river. So that is one of the most colorful stories that I've got from the Boiling River area. And it's the story behind its name, which is pretty cool. So there's some great stories out there.
All right. So I think that's really important too, is there's the science, there's all kinds of significance to us, like medicinal and things like that. But I think the cultural significance is really important, to preserve that and to share that and share the stories and things like that. Like you shared with kind of walking and feeling with your feet, feeling the heat kind of the earth with your feet. So I think it's just as important to share those cultural stories and preserve those as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, a huge shout out to our classrooms. Thank you to our YouTube groups. Thank you to our camera classroom. Thank you to everybody who played Kahoot with us today. And Andrés, thank you so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure to steal a bit of your time. And good luck with your PhD. I know it's an exciting time coming with it getting closer and closer.
Oh, well, no, thank you guys so much. And truly, I hope you get to come down to the jungle one day and yeah, go explore it. That's what the world's there for, guys. Go explore it.
All right. We're going to sign off for today. A lot more events coming up this week. So head to exploringbytheseat.com to see everything coming your way. And we hope to see your classrooms more as we race towards the holidays. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, guys.